Just like with straight Cavalettis, for curved Cavalettis, you'll start out with regular spacing and slowly increase the space between the poles over time. With the dog shown here, you'll see as she trots through the poles that her feet land at just about the midway point between the poles. When increasing the spacing, you can increase the space about an inch at a time until you reach the farthest distance your dog can stride over. Keeping in mind that this is a progression and your dog will need to work up to this increased spacing gradually. For the dog shown here, when we increase the spacing, she has to extend her stride even further to make it over the poles. Her feet land much closer to the inside of the pole and she just makes it over the poles without hitting them. Something you may notice is that when this dog exits the last couple poles on the left-hand side, she sometimes exits closer to the outside of the curve, which is causing her to double step between those last two poles, where if she stayed on the inside more, she wouldn't be double stepping there. Here's an example of spacing that is just a little too far apart. You can see that the dog can almost stride through the poles, but is double stepping between some of the poles, particularly the ones in the middle. If your dog is hitting the poles or double stepping from the start, then your spacing is too far apart. If they are hitting the poles after several reps, then it is more than likely your dog is fatigued. With curved Cavalettis, determining the spacing can be a bit more challenging. When measuring your space, you'll need to take note on where your dog prefers to trot through the poles. If they like to stay on the inside like this dog does, then you'll take your measurements there. If your dog rides more to the middle, then you should measure from there. Just make sure to adjust where you take your measurements so that the dog is generally trotting at the appropriate spacing.